Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel, KT Beyond the Book, and I'm Dee Brown. Today we are going over the Strongest Strongs Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible by James Strong. Now, this is a tutorial over the introduction of this book. Usually I don't do stuff like that, but the introduction I found was very helpful, like after using this resource for years. Then I would come across some things that I'd never seen before, and I'm like, I wonder what that means. I wonder why they did that. I wonder what this is. Well, it's because I didn't read the introduction, so I didn't know all the little nuances of the book's references. And so I'm going to take you through that today, and then our next video, we're going to specifically go through the Strongest Strongs Concordance, and we're going to see all about it. Now remember, there are different types of Strongs, and they have revised the book many times over. So this tutorial is specifically for the Strongest Strongs, again, that blue and white copy. So I want you guys to check it out, like, share, and subscribe. If this is the kind of content you want to see, please let me know in the message below, of course, and share with your friends. This is excellent for youth groups. It's excellent if you're just starting a Bible study and maybe, you're not one who's done all this kind of Bible studying before, but maybe you want to start a Bible study group at your house or with your friends and stuff like that. So this is an excellent resource for that. If you like this type of content, please list it in the section below. Let me know what other kind of resources you guys are looking for, what other things you have wondered about and wanted to study, and we'll hook that up for you too. Don't forget, if you enjoy it, like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started. Okay, so first we have the main concordance. Is what they're showing you. And I'm just gonna spread this out a little bit and kind of tell you what you will be looking at as you look into your resources here. All right, so the first thing they'll show you is the actual word that you're looking up. That word is going to be in bold print. Next to it is going to be how many times the word appears. Okay, so this is how many times it appears in the Bible. These words, any words that you see in parentheses next to it, are words that are variations of this word. So it has the same meaning, it's just a variation of whatever the first word is. And in this case, we see that it's in Exodus, and this is the chapter, this is the verse, and then this is a piece of the scripture, so you know if that's the scripture you're looking for. That part is very important. Make sure you're actually looking for the portion of scripture that you are looking for. Make sure you're finding that one before you look up the word, because that's the most important part of this experience. And so they're showing you that the heading consists of the indexed word. The indexed word is just the word you're looking up, and then how many times, the frequency of the word, and then of course the list of the words that go with it, Aaron's and Aaronite. So what they're showing you here is this is the word, this is how many times it shows up. These are the variations that are in parentheses. This is where it's located, Exodus 4:14. This is what that portion of scripture says. This number here is the number that you're going to look up to find what it means. I should have said that. That's very important. So this number here, 175, is what you're going to look up in the index in the back of the book to find out what that means. Okay, so that's kind of how you read that part. Now, another part that I thought was interesting enough to go over, sometimes you'll see a word written and then they'll write it again because you'll see it show up in different places in the Bible written a little differently. But they're just showing you here, here's the word you're looking up, remember, because it's bold, so you know that's it. And this is just a little variation of that word, but it's the same word. It shows up 39 times. Remember, if it's in parentheses, that's how many times it shows up. Okay, here's another example. A base shows up 4 times, but it can also show up as a based or a basing. And so they're showing you that variation here. Okay, and then here we have, I thought this was important to show you. These are word for word translations. What does that mean? As a word for word translation, it just means that they took exact words and then that's how they translated that. So for this particular word, we have Exodus 4:14. Remember, we were talking about Aaron, and he said, "Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother?" So they're very specifically talking about Aaron. Remember, not the Aaronites or Aarons with apostrophe S. And so I'll explain a little bit more why that's important in a second. Over here, this one, I want you to pay attention because sometimes you'll get a number instead of a letter at the end. Now, again, you'll see these numbers. None of them are going to have a H or a G, but if it's in the Old Testament, it's Hebrew. If it's in the New Testament, it's Greek. That's how you're going to know where to find it. So if your scripture, such as this, is located in the Old Testament in Exodus, then you know this is going to be a H175. You're going to look it up in the Hebrew. Alrighty, and so let's get back at it. So here you have, I'm just going to read this to you because the Strongest Strong shows the italicized of the KJV in its context. If an indexed word is italicized in the KJV, it is bold and italic in the context. For example, in Mark 5:24, Jesus is italicized. The KJV translators supplied the name for clarity, though it is not in the Greek. The Strongest Strongs is, and Jesus, that J is standing for Jesus, and it too is italicized, went with him and much people. So originally, this did not say Jesus. They are just giving you context, so as you read it, it will make more sense to you. But then, as you see here, there is not a number, right? There's not a number for a reason. This means not in Greek. Remember, we talked about anything that's going to be in the New Testament is going to be in the Greek. They're telling you that this word was not in Greek. Why? Because it was not in the original translation. So I'll explain a little bit of that a little later too as we go. Okay. Also, if you will notice here, they have my children, these things right. Then First John, and that's 1 John 2:1. Or my little children, these things I write. My little c, these things I write. And it's still the same scripture, 1 John 2:1. So then here, 5:50:40 is the number you're going to look up. They're telling you that's the exact same thing, right? 50:40, 50:40 in that scripture. But here's the key to that. In these examples, it would appear that the Greek word number 50:40 means only little or children, depending on which entry you looked up first. Nothing in its context line would inform you that Greek word 50:40 actually means little children, right? So if you were looking up the word children and you went to this and looked up children first by itself, you would have saw this. If you went to look up little, you would have went to the L's and you would have saw this, right? Same thing, but you wouldn't have known it meant little children. But that's what they're showing you. So that's why they did that, just in case, so people don't get confused and if you look at one word before the other. But in that particular case, it means little children. Now here, the Strongest Strongs has solved the problem of indicating such multiple word translations by putting all the words in bold type. So as you use this particular translation, what you're going to find is it says, if you looked up this particular scripture, 1 John 2:1, it would say, my children, these things I write unto you, right? So if you went to look up children, this is what you would say. The L would be bold as well as children. If you went to look up little, what you would see in this case is my little, and then the C would be bold as well, because little and children go together, little and children go together, same word, right? So they're just trying to bring you clarity so you know what you're looking at when you go through these. Now, why is this important? Because as you are studying, sometimes you'll see these variations and sometimes you won't. So then you might be like, okay, what's going on with this? So that's why they're kind of explaining to you, to kind of give you that little oomph that you might need. Now, I wanted to explain this, the substitution translation. Bible translators often substitute nouns for pronouns and pronouns for nouns for clarity. For example, Matthew 9 and 10 reads, "As Jesus sat at meat in the house, behold, Jesus," in quotes, here translates Greek word 846, which is not the proper name, and they put it in Greek and in parentheses 2424, but the pronoun he. Substitutionary translations are common and acceptable in Bible translations, but other concordances treat them as if they were one-to-one translations. One-to-one translation just simply means that word means exactly this word. That's all they're saying with the one-to-one. But in this case, they're saying that substitutions were made. And if that happens while you're reading here, they're showing you this is what they've done to let you see what that means. Matthew 9 and 10 as J in bold print, that's the word you're looking up, which is Jesus, sat at meat in the house, behold. Well, what they did was they took that bold-faced J and they put a little S at the top. So you know that they substituted that word Jesus. Jesus was not originally there. They substituted the word and they put a he instead. Or, I'm sorry, excuse me. He was there instead prior to, and then they substituted with Jesus. But they're telling you that they put the substitution there. So as you read it, it flows clearly and you understand that they're referencing Jesus and not somebody else. Again, here's the number you would look it up, 846. And of course, we know that would be G in Greek because it's in the New Testament in Matthew. So I hope that tutorial was something that you needed, something to help you out, to get you to the next step, to get you to the next level. You are a revolution. You are a powerful overthrow of the kingdom of darkness, initiating and executing the kingdom of heaven by faith. Keep up the good work, guys. See you next video.